Hello, everybody. I want to thank you so much for being a part of my first vlog episode. I would say one of many to come in the future. And before I get started, I would like to say that I am someone who loves presentations and I'm such a visual learner as well. However, I do find myself a lot of times trying to write down information a lot while there's a presentation going on so I can be able to look at it later. And sometimes I even don't look at it later, but it makes me feel good to have it written down. But I will say that for this presentation, I've actually made this more visual than anything. So that way you can really be able to just sit back and just listen and just allow your mind to just be able to open itself up to just receiving. You'll be surprised at just how powerful your mind is at just really recalling information and receiving information and keeping it there until you truly really intentionally want to know it or bring it up into your mind, into your consciousness. And so I just want to let you know for the future, there's really no need to try to um, write everything down. Just listen to everything. And what I'll do is during this week, I actually will be posting on Facebook and Instagram pretty much daily quotes that will be able to remind yourself of the topic that we're talking about today. And that alone, I believe, would just give you a vague but yet specific reminder of what your mind was able to receive and what your soul was able to receive today. And that alone would just be able to give you limitless boundaries to how you interpret this topic today in your own personal lives, but also still be able to remind yourself of this week and things to do to kind of help you remember everything we will talk about today. So I just want to let you know that going forward, most of my slides will not have a whole lot of words, but definitely a lot of visuals and just kind of key phrases and quotes and things to really help your mind be able to interpret what I'm saying to you. So, as you see, the topic today is focusing on in the beginning. And so, for a lot of people, in the beginning sounds pretty familiar, right? I mean, I feel like no matter what religion background you come from, or lack thereof, we all can agree that there was a start, like some type of beginning in a creation that took place for the universe to be in existence as well as beings to be in existence. Something had to take place. There was a beginning at some point. And so I'm pretty sure that everyone has heard, the saying, think outside the box. So this is wisdom that has been so underrated, I believe. And I myself definitely didn't understand the magnitude of power in thinking outside the box. And for so long, I took thinking outside the box to be almost impossible, as if it really truly hurt my brain to even do that. And so, thinking outside the box, what do you find yourself doing? What is thinking outside the box when you do that? So, thinking outside the box is pretty much like the intent to think beyond the walls, beyond the ceiling above you, to think beyond the boundaries. And what I mean by that as well is we tend to sometimes, including myself at one point, have to remind myself that whether it's experiences, cultural backgrounds, religious views, all of these things are in essence created by man and not in purity of created by the divine. It's some things that are worldly customs. And I have to remind myself as well, and this is what truly helped me start to really begin to go deeper into my divine relationship with God, and just directly with Him without any type of affiliation of anything else in the world. And thinking outside the box truly was the first beginning of me doing that. So when you are thinking outside the box, you really are thinking from a new perspective. So how long has it been since you thought outside the box? How long has it been since you thought beyond the boundaries that you have kept, that have really truly kept you safe? Boundaries are great when it comes to the mind and thinking and expanding your mind and your consciousness. Sometimes not thinking outside the box is a way to be safe, but sometimes that can be really a dual and stagnant life. And for me, I felt like when I wasn't thinking outside the box, I wasn't propelling, I wasn't moving forward in life, and I knew in my mind and my heart that I was destined for so much more. And so I found myself asking so many questions to myself. And a lot of these questions came as far as, why am I going through these same patterns? It seems like just over and over again. And when I'm trying to find that light in every moment, it really truly felt like um I was just really taking a step forward, but taking two steps back, it seems like. Or sometimes at one point I was at a point where I felt like I was in this robotic system of just everyday living, doing the same thing over and over and over again. Also at some point I was so tired of really living paycheck to paycheck, and it felt like no matter how hard I tried to save, I just could never do anything with my funds that really truly I always wanted to do, as far as just all the time. Like it was always felt like I was always limited financially, just culturally, my knowledge that I received, just everything. I felt so stagnant. And I, again, like I said before, since I can remember, I just always knew that I was destined for so much more in my life. And so I really began to just ask these questions. I got to a point where I truly believe in my heart, like no matter what religion background you come from, or even if you don't come from religious background at all, most religions, I would say, if not all of them, other than, of course, I would say, Satanism, which I personally don't really believe as a religion in itself, that is like a systematic religion. But truly, most religions that people actually, seek to find God and to find that higher source and that heavenly Father in, you hear all the time, that love and joy and peace and happiness and just abundance and just divine power are things that can be reached and that can be manifested in your life. And to see that in itself, out of all the different religions, that's something that they all agreed upon. It drove me crazy to really wonder, like, why am I not receiving this? I would get glimpses of it in my life every now and then, but me coming from a Christian background, told myself, the Bible is saying that this can be manifested into your life, that this can be something that can just happen and you will be able to experience all the time. And I just really wanted to know, like, why is that? Why am I not, well, as far as why am I not receiving that? Why are these things not manifesting in my life like I felt like it should have been? And so after some time, my questions were actually answered. And the answer was really, not only did my perceptions of life in itself and my experiences prevent me from truly believing in the pure power of creation in itself, it actually truly nearly diminished my power to even imagine. You ever wondered why your power to imagine was stronger as a child than as an adult? If you think about it now, life has happened and we have responsibilities now. But that's really a question to ponder that I used to ponder for a while. And that question alone is definitely going to be something that I'm going to talk about in a future vlog. And the answer is so much more deeper than just because life responsibilities happen. Trust me. So back to creation and imagination. To imagine means you're allowing yourself to be open to limitless opportunities and just wonders what could be, and having confidence that what is created and what is manifested within that limitless vastness of wonder is in existence. That sounds pretty familiar to me. Whenever I found myself writing that out, literally in the moment of writing it out, the first thing I thought about was the essence of faith. That to me, exactly for me, faith and hope is what I receive out of that. For some reason, creation, imagination seems a little more not scientific, but just so not related to spirituality, but more practical in a way, in the same way, but have that touch of magic. But in essence, it really is something that needs to be taken pretty much more seriously when it comes to spirituality and expanding yourself and truly wanting to um, explore yourself as a creation of God. he's made you to create. He's a creator, so he made you in his image to create. Remember as a child, whether you were playing with friends or playing alone, you play with imagination. Some of us also had imaginary friends. I remember at one point I had one, and some people, you don't even hear that anymore. Like if you had children that had imagination friends now, you find a lot of parents that will go and get them counseling and get them help because they feel like they're crazy or something's going on with them. And it's just like this world and just things that are going on in this world, we are truly moving so much farther than where we should go, and we should get back to the basics of just truly being able to realize that your imagination is truly your power. One thing that I also thought about during creating this first vlog was something that came to me in my heart, and I truly believe from my higher self, is to have hope and faith is to have imagination and creation. Like I said again, I truly believe that hope and faith really truly have a correlation with imagination and creation. To truly exercise your imagination, you must be able to think outside the box. To think outside the box means you would have to think from a new perception, as we said before, and always being receptive and open to changing your views when new information, or just new information or just new wisdom, really touches your soul. And when I say that, I mean it's so much easier said than done. And I vow to you that I'm going to do everything in my soul and my power to truly allow these videos in the future to really help you all be able to get to that point. It took me a long time to figure this out on my own, and now the fact that I've have encountered God face to face with just him and his beauty, and I just want to express it all to you all and truly be a vessel that God is using to really help you all be able to understand this. When it comes to changing your perception, you truly have to take yourself out of the context of anything that this world has ever given you. And it won't be all at once, and it'll take time. It takes discovery. It takes asking questions. It takes being able to explore, and that's why I want to really truly empower you all to really just be able to explore and not be afraid to just ask questions. And so, you have to realize too, and a lot of people, I'm going to mention more probably things from Christianity background because that's really what I come from, and at one point I did practice Buddhism. But I will say, most people know the scripture of God creating you in his image, and God has created you in his image, and just as the universe, you are also truly a masterpiece created and designed with intent and with a purpose. God says that it's truly time for you to get back to the basics and just be as a child. And he's mentioned that in the scripture. And again, I will tell you, I'm someone who I cannot remember a scripture by heart if it saves my life. But when the moment comes, I can remember the essence of that truth, and it's in me. And that's all that matters. But we all know that we're all designed and created in the image of God. And he mentions, to be able to encounter me, you have to be able to be back like a child. And what I really truly believe now at this point in my life, for so long, I really didn't understand what that meant. I knew what it meant in a way as far as just the essence of just the innocence and just being able to just be vulnerable to him. But it was so much more than that. And I really believe in my heart now that he really was saying to just expanding your imagination, living life to the fullest. Even in the most simplest days, there's magic in your day. To have a limitless imagination, you must really first be curious. That is something that children are. I mean, what do curious children do? Anytime I've ever known any child to ask questions, including myself, my mom used to always joke with me about a child that is curious, a person that is curious, that person, to make them curious, is asking questions. I'm not asking you to, become an overthinker. I was once that way, and I promise you it's definitely more of a curse than a blessing. But it does have tremendous power in asking questions. So one thing I would say for this week, just something to try out, and what you should do is just be able to think of a question or two that relates to the mind, body, and spirit. It could be something as simple or in depth as a question. When you can actually use Google and just search, just begin your search on it. Um, I can give an example by that because that is a pretty vague thing to say. And just remind yourself again of what we talked about already today. Just challenging yourself to think beyond your imagination. Before you can even begin to really tap into that again in your pure imagination, your power, your magic that God has given you to just make abundance in this world and just be able to live the life that he's created for you to do, which was just enjoy and just be able to create and be able to love others and do something that has purpose behind it, that makes him proud. Making him proud is by being yourself and just being able to be confident in who you are as his child and to make things happen in this earth. It's all that he wants from you. Um, to be able to even begin that process, begin challenging yourself and reminding yourself to just ask questions. It's almost as if we pretty much almost I would say had a gift that and I'm speaking for myself as well, a gift that, God has given me as far as creating an imagination. And things happen and I became older and life happened, and I began to lose that. It's almost like a muscle. If you don't use it, it goes away, it becomes weak. So we have to go back to the basics, and the basics of that is just asking questions. So the first thing is to just be able to, when you ask these questions to yourself, and it's going to come organically, so you don't have to force it. But first, you have to really just have a vow to yourself that you truly are going to try your best to truly be able to think out of the context of, what you've learned and just things that you know now, the boundaries set before you that you have now. What I mean by that is, especially if you're coming from a religious background, and again, I am not in any way, shape, or form bashing religion. Again, I come from a Christianity background, and it actually helped me be able to at least be able to open my eyes to be able to understand and learn about God. But then I realized that it's just so much more. He's a massive being that cannot in no way, shape, or form be tunneled into any one religion. And so you have to be able to think outside of the box. So what I mean by that is, for an example, I put here an example of a question that I asked myself. This question was probably the first question I asked myself that kind of made me fearful because it stepped myself out of pretty much my religion that I was believing in. But something in me was very curious. I forgot where I was, but I remember hearing about chakras, and something dinged in me. There was like some type of connection because I've always been someone that now that I know, that has been very in tune with my energy and other people's energy, and I became fascinated by that. But for so long, I felt, I guess, wrong or guilty for even questioning those things because it was contradicting anything that I learned in my Christianity background. So I'll put it as that's more of an example of what I mean by that. Just something that's truly challenging yourself to think outside the box in that context. And so, for example, one thing that I remember Googling at one point when asking these questions was, what were chakras? That can even be a starting point for someone. If you ever heard of chakras before, that's something that comes more from a Buddhism background. And you'd be surprised at the connections that Buddhism and Christianity have together. They do have some differences, but in essence, there are a lot of truths of the essence of God that is in that. But that was something I asked myself, and I began Googling it, and then I really just became really in touch with just how chakras work and how related to things that I was going through. So that's just something just to challenge yourself on. And I say that because you would truly be fascinated and just amazed at how much excited your mind will really be to have taken in new information that the soul wanted to initiate and explore. And that's what I mean. Like, it shouldn't be something that's forced. It should definitely be something that's organic. But for that to happen, have a talk with yourself in your mind and just kind of have that confirmation that, this week you're going to truly be able to just, even if it's one question, just to really do your best to just be open to the universe, be open to just all possibilities and just things that are going on in this world, and just try to do that. And I'm telling you, you'll be amazed at just how even that alone will just make you dig deeper and to want to know more and more, and you'll be just surprised at just like how things just connect with you. But first step, just try to find a question or two that can relate to the body, the mind, and the spirit, and just go away from there. So I will say, when you do that this week, if you have any questions at all or any comments, please feel free to email me or message me. My email contact information is on my about contact page on my website, which is www.Earth.Love.Wisdom.com. And I also want you all to know as well, again, throughout this week, I will definitely be posting daily quotes to truly just kind of help remind you and help your soul and your mind just remember and take in just the power of imagination and creativity, just kind of help your mind get going on that, and to encourage you to just really be able to challenge yourself in doing that this week. I look so forward to seeing you all next week. I'll be posting these videos every Sunday on a weekly basis, and I'll be definitely announcing that on Facebook. And the video actually will be posted on the website www.Earth.Love.Wisdom.com, and also it will be on my YouTube page as well. You can find that link on the contact page. At the bottom where it has my information at, you'll be able to find links to my Instagram, to my YouTube account, as well as my Facebook account. So I just want to remind you all, ladies, you beautiful ladies out there in the world, empowered to explore. Be empowered to explore your mind, your body, your spirit. Don't allow anything or anyone to stop you from doing that. You are a child of God, and only a child of God. And He is so looking forward to just being at a deeper relationship with you. And I'm telling you, I'm so excited that and so honored that I'm a vessel to really help you get there. And so I just want to send you all my love and light this week, and I want you all to know that there's love here, and there's good things coming for those who are truly seeking to want more, to have that abundance. Things are changing this year. The energy is getting better. There's positive energy and light here and frequencies here in this world now. And so don't let anything that you see, any lower vibes, come at you and interrupt that. Just stay hopeful, stay in peace, and I will definitely see you next week. So I'm sending you peace, love, and blessings. Have a great week.